Good morning, children. Welcome to the second part of this video. In the first part, we have already discussed a brief introduction of the poem, A Legend of the Northland. And in this part, we are going to start with our poem. So I hope all my kids are ready. Let's begin. Away, away in the Northland, where the hours of the day are few. Now, here the poetess is talking about a place, a faraway place in the Northland, where the hours of the day are few, means the day duration is shorter as compared to the nights. And the nights are so long in winter, and the nights they are quite long in the winters that they cannot sleep them through. That they means the people there in the Northland, they cannot sleep for that entire duration of night. In the first stanza, the poetess is saying that she is talking about a place named as Northland, where there is the winter season, the days are shorter than the nights, and the nights they are so long that you cannot sleep for the complete nights. Where they harnessed the swift reindeer to the sledges when it snowed. Where they harness, they means the people of Northland, harnesses, putting a strap into the neck of the animal so that they can control the animal. The swift means the fast moving, reindeer means the Arctic deer, we can see here in the picture. To the sledges, sledges is the vehicle which is used for transportation over the snow. So now the poetess is trying to say, she's talking about that Northland where the people they harness the swift reindeers to the sledges whenever it snows. And the children, they look like bear's cubs in their funny furry clothes. And the children, they look very cute, they look very funny in the cloths, the furry cloths that they are wearing just to protect themselves from the weather. They tell them a curious story. Now, they means the people in the Northland. They tell them means their children, the children there in Northland. They tell them a very curious story. Curious means which is raising their curiosity. I don't believe it is true. I means the poetess. She doesn't believe that the story is true. And yet, you may learn a lesson if I tell the tale to you. That if I am going to tell this story, tale means the story. If I am going to tell this tale to you, you may learn a lesson from it. You may learn a moral from it. Once a good Saint Peter lived in the world below. Now once there was a good saint named as Peter. He lived in the world below, means he used to live in that world and walked about it. He used to walk from one place to another. He used to move around that area, that world where he used to preach. Preach means the teachings, giving the teachings of the moral values. Just as he did, like he keeps on preaching, he keeps on giving the moral lectures to everybody wherever he goes, just like other saints do. Now, while moving from one place to another, he came to the door of a cottage. He came to a place, a door of a cottage. Where there was a cottage, he came to that door. In traveling round the earth, where a little woman was making the cakes and baking them on hearth. He came to that cottage where, while he was traveling round the earth, he reached a cottage. He was there on the door of the cottage where he saw there was a little woman who was making certain cakes. Little woman means she was an old lady but shorter in height. She was making cakes and baking them on the hearth. Hearth means the fireplace. And faint with fasting. Faint with fasting means the saint, he was getting fainted. He was so much exhausted and tired and hungry because he was fasting for that entire day. For the day was almost done. The day was also getting over. It was the entire day that he had not eaten anything. He asked her. He means Saint Peter. Her means the old lady. He asked her from her stores of cake to give him a single one. He requested the lady to give him a single cake from her store of cakes. The lady was having so many cakes. He wanted single one. So she made a very little cake. She just made a small cake, but as it was baking lay, she looked at it and thought it seemed too large to give away. Now she made a small cake. She started to bake the cake, but when she looked at the cake, she felt that it is too large to be given to somebody. It is too large to give away. Therefore, she needed another. She started to prepare another cake and still a smaller one. This time she tried to prepare a smaller cake. But it looked, when she turned it over, as large as the first had done. But when she looked over the second cake, which was smaller as compared to the first one, but when it was getting baked, she felt that this is also too large to be given away. This is also a big cake. It is also looking as the first one. And then she took a tiny scrap of dough. A tiny scrap means a small fragment of, a bit of. Dough means it is a flour mixture. You all know dough. Then she took a tiny scrap of dough and rolled it flat. Here the poet has also used repetition, repeating the word and rolled and rolled. She took a small fragment, a bit of dough. She rolled it flat and baked it thin as a wafer. Here the poet has also used a simile where he is making a comparison between the cake and the wafer. The poetess says that she baked the cake as thin as a wafer. It was as small as a wafer, but she could not part with that. But she was not able to part. She was not able to give even the small cake, the smallest one. For she said, my cakes that seem too small when I each of them myself are yet too large to give away. Now what she is feeling, the cakes that when she has to eat, she feels that the cake seems too small. They are too small when she herself has to eat them. But when it is about giving the cake to somebody, they are looking too large to be given away. That means the lady here, the greed has came into her heart. She doesn't want to give the cake to a saint. So she put them on the shelf. She put that smallest cake also on the shelf. But she did not give it to Saint Peter. I hope I am clear till this stanza. So today in this part, we'll be doing till this stanza only. In the next video, we'll continue with the poem. Thank you so much.